Behind the Lines. Hello and welcome to Behind the Lines. I'm Diane Dayton. Today's topic is active learning. What is that, you ask? Well, check this out.
Robert Fulton Elementary School in Lancaster, Pennsylvania recently underwent a multi-million-dollar renovation, turning long hallways into bright welcoming centers for art displays, posters, and celebrations of progress. Classrooms where students couldn't move due to overcrowding are now filled with light, smart boards, bright colors, and plenty of room to dance. The real transformation going on inside Fulton isn't just in the building, but rather how students are learning and teachers are applying active learning strategies in their daily instructional plans. Fulton Elementary received a grant from the General Mills Foundation to enhance its ability to provide quality nutrition education and physical activity opportunities to its 450 students. This grant enabled Fizika to train all of the Fulton staff in active learning at the beginning of the school year. Before the year began, 3 teachers from Fulton took the active learning course that Fizika developed in partnership with Harrisburg University. 15 minutes of physical activity, known as halftime, was added to the school day.
At any time visiting classrooms, you will see more kids moving in so many different ways. So beyond recess, beyond PE, beyond morning workouts, we're seeing teachers use gestures to reenact stories or symbolize vocabulary words or reading strategies. We're seeing our built-in brain breaks used outside of the designated halftime so that teachers are employing these active learning strategies on a consistent basis to really support student focus and student understanding of content.
Fizika works closely with Fulton's active learning team that meets monthly to monitor and guide implementation.
We are so fortunate to partner with Fizika. They have just been a guiding force beside us every step of the way. So we were able to sit down with Martha and map out a really specific plan tailored to the needs of our building. So taking what we know about our district initiatives, our school improvement plan, we took all of those things into account, and Martha really helped us set up an effective rollout with the staff.
I think the program overall just really helped to focus us on what we want to do here at Fulton, and we worked as a team to create that, so it was something that we could use, and it meant a lot to us here.
Students with learning differences are among those benefiting from active learning.
For my students with IEPs, we have a lot of lack of focus, and we are working really hard to be engaged in everything that we do, and that physical activity allows their brains to take that little break from what we're doing or to actually include it into their learning, and then it helps them to focus, and they don't always even know that that's what's happening. So it's just that great way to build that in with them, and I've seen them become a lot more engaged with their learning because of that physical movement. And when you can build it into the content and what they're learning, I mean, they're making amazing strides in what they do every day.
To motivate students to become more active and mindful about maintaining a healthy lifestyle, Fulton ordered scored wearable accelerometers through Fizika. 5th grade student Gustavo Allers enjoys participating in healthy competitions with his fellow students and teachers.
The scored bracelet, it involves a lot of competition, and people have been wanting to get more active. They've been running around a lot.
What are Fulton's plans for next year?
I think next year, definitely our focus will be on the nutrition aspect of active learning, bringing in our health knowledge, health literacy into our school, and also bringing that active learning and directly connecting it with the curriculum that we have.
At Fulton Elementary, active learning is key to keeping students engaged and teachers motivated. New training, new resources, new evaluation methods, and new technology are making this inner city school brim with pride.
Active learning, that's what we're here to talk about, and it has a great impact on our schools. With us right now, we have the president of Fazika Group, Martha Harris, and we also have Jill Martin. You're the principal at Robert Fulton Elementary. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you.
Now, Martha, you started this, about 5 years ago? Is that correct?
That's correct, Diane. And Fazika's purpose is really to help educators like Dr. Martin make the connection between movement and learning. There's a growing body of evidence, scientific data, that shows the more a child is active while they're learning, the better they behave in school, the better they're able to retain information, the better they're able to communicate and really be an effective, engaged learner. So what we found in schools across the country is that we weren't doing a very good job of making that connection. So we're delighted to be joined today by Dr. Martin, who is one of the early on educators who caught the connection and understands its value and has embraced active learning as part of her overall school improvement strategy.
That's excellent. This has been the last year was a full year of doing the system that you had incorporated with Martha. You've seen dramatic differences, haven't you?
Yeah, we're very excited about our work with Fazika over this past year, and a lot of educators know that active participation, active engagement needs to be a priority for student learning. But the difference in what we've done with Fazika is we've given the teachers the resources and the collaboration time to really intentionally plan out what that active engagement looks like, sounds like, and plays out to be in the classroom setting.
So what does it look like in the classroom?
We have a couple of different pieces to this puzzle of active learning, and we started at a really basic level with just coming in and having physical activity in the mornings, a morning workout, because we know that brain research says we need to get in, we need to get stimulated, get the brains ready for the content and the information they're going to receive. We also incorporated a halftime, a healthy and active learning at Fulton time for each classroom, so it was an intentionally scheduled piece of our day where students were having a variety of actual health and physical literacy type activities. So one day it could be a cardio brain break, the next day it could be a Fitbit nutrition lesson, and just being very intentional about taking time each day to focus on the health and physical wellness of our students. But then at an academic level, we also provided a lot of time for teachers to look at how they could incorporate some of these active learning strategies, brain-based strategies, to engage students into a math lesson, into a reading, a science, a social studies lesson, so that students were up and moving and actively responding to questions and tasks within the academic setting as well.
Okay. When you first implemented this, when you first started this, what were the reactions you got from the kids?
The students were so ready for this type of learning. It was just not even one piece of resistance. They were so excited. It's a natural fit for how kids at the elementary level learn, how kids in general learn, how grown-ups learn for that matter. Absolutely. So the students just jumped right in, and it was something that if that piece of the day, that halftime piece, was missed or had to be rescheduled, the students noticed it right away, and it was one of the pieces that they looked forward to having as part of their daily day at the school.
What's great about this is the positive association they have with what you have integrated into the daily activity, right, Martha?
That's right. That's right. I think the overall morale is just so much better. When I first was invited by Dr. Martin to take a tour of Fulton Elementary, she had me look at some specific classrooms where children were cramped. They couldn't even get up and move if they wanted to. And as a result, those that have some behavioral challenges were aggressive and had to be set literally in a corner facing the wall so they wouldn't disrupt learning for the other students. It's a whole different environment now when you walk through Fulton Elementary, as that video showed, with bright open hallways and spacious classrooms and lots of tools and resources. There's a real energy level that frankly wasn't there 2 years ago. So a lot has come together for Fulton. Dr. Martin's leadership, a renovated school building, and a new approach to helping students stay engaged in learning through movement.
Yeah. So really what you can say, these are energizing brain breaks that help improve the students' focus too, right?
Well, that's part of the tools and the resources that we provided. That was part of the training that we did. We were invited to come and train all the staff, not just the PE teacher or the classroom teachers, but the lunchroom aides and the cafeteria aides. And we got them up and moving so that they could experience the joy of movement. We find that particularly classroom teachers may not feel comfortable moving in front of their students. They haven't been trained to do that, particularly if they're not trained as a physical educator. So we need to get them over that hump, and once they're comfortable, then they can model that behavior for their students, and that's what we're seeing be fully adopted at Fulton.
So really what's happening, it's a culture change, isn't it?
Right, absolutely.
And how are the teachers responding to this?
One of the things that Martha and I go back to and we comment on frequently was when we did the initial training with all of the staff members, and it was 2 Friday afternoons in September. So it's the first month of school, which is one of the most stressful. It's where you invest so much time in those first months, time of the year. And so it was Friday afternoon in September, 3:30 in the afternoon. We were pretty much wrapped up. The teachers wanted to stay. And we looked around the room. Everyone is laughing, engaged, having fun, because in this training, we were doing all of these different energizers and active learning strategies as grown-ups. So even at that point, we knew there was something special here. And so, you know, it's really resonated with the staff engaging in these different opportunities, and then also just helping our students make good decisions in their daily lives around health and wellness. It's also really impacted as a staff the decisions that we're making around health and wellness.
And when the kids and the teachers are this happy, they are engaged, as you said, they're learning, and behavior issues are really not like they were before, right?
Absolutely. So specifically one of our team members this year who was featured in the video, one of our special education teachers really took this initiative and just went above and beyond. And we targeted a class that we had some behavior concerns in, and through the regular use of the active learning strategies, that was one piece of this puzzle of really bringing that classroom community together. And we saw some pretty outstanding results by the end of the school year.
That's great. What do you have on your wrist? Tell us about that.
This is called SCORD, S-Q-O-R-D. The Fulton Elementary was implementing a grant from the General Mills Foundation that bought some of the resources that the teachers are now using for active learning. And there was a piece of funding available to help students become motivated to be active. And rather than go with a traditional pedometer that you wear and tend to break and are not uploadable, when I introduced this technology to Dr. Martin, she said, we're going to go with that. What this does is it keeps track of your full range of motion, and then by simply taking it off and swiping it on a sync station, the data goes right up to a personal avatar. So the children can populate their own avatar. They can keep track of their own progress. The more active they are, the website encourages them to become more active, and they can look at their whole performance as a class. So this technology came about in the last 3 months of the school year. It's one of the tools we're looking to hopefully expand use of in the coming school year because it's so motivational. We found that children that were more sedentary, because they had this scored on, they said, can I take a walk with you at recess? Because they wanted to get more points and earn more coins that they could then use to buy new clothing for their avatar.
Oh, excellent, excellent. Active learning is great for the students. It's great for the community, too. And we're going to take a brief pause and find out more. Stay with us. Welcome back to Behind the Lines. We're talking about active learning and the difference it's making in our schools and in our communities, specifically at Robert Fulton Elementary School. Joining Martha and myself, we have Sarah Farbo, and you are the Community School Director. What is that?
Yes. Good question. The Community School Director is someone who works at a school, and to become a community school, you are partnered with a lead agency, a nonprofit. So this is a national model, a national framework, and the whole idea behind it is that a community school is breaking down the barriers between the school and families and the school and community to help all students be successful. So we know that the school can't do it alone, the community can't do it alone, families can't do it alone, but if you all work together and you really bring the resources of the community to the students, it will help them be successful. So my job really is to link all of the resources in the community to our school.
Okay, no small task.
No.
So how do you go about doing this, Sarah?
You know, it really involves just building relationships. It's all about fostering partnerships, collaborating with local businesses, churches who are nearby, community members who just want to come in our school and volunteer, and they might not know they want to say, I want to volunteer at Fulton, but what can I do? So I really match them with classrooms, with students, with teachers to help them bring their gifts to help our students.
Wow. The churches are really good too, as far as some of the after school or before school. Tell me about that.
Yes, we have an excellent before school program called MOOS, Mornings on Orange Street, and it's a partnership between Fulton, Covenant United Methodist, and Community Mennonite. So it's all volunteer run, and kids are dropped off at 6:30 a.m. at the church, and then they walk them over at 8:15.
That's excellent.
And provide a safe space for kids to be before school, to do activities, finish their homework, and really just build those mentoring relationships with adults.
So really it's your health and wellness partners we're talking about, is that right?
Exactly. And for example, we have parent cafes that we host for families just to learn more about all different kinds of topics. And Covenant United, a church across the street from us, let us use their kitchen for a parent cafe. Doctors from LGH came, talked about nutrition, and they all made a healthy meal together.
Oh, that's excellent.
It was wonderful. The kids had a blast, the families had a blast, and we just got to learn more about how can you make healthier food choices.
This is key, isn't it, Martha?
It is. To be an active learning environment, you have to have good nutrition, you have to have exercise, and adequate amounts of water and sleep. One of the tools that Physika created for the Fulton parents is a newsletter, a healthy and active learning at Fulton newsletter that would allow parents to keep track of the daily amounts of nutrition, exercise, water, and sleep. We called it a good newspaper, something they could post on their refrigerators to help them keep track. Because when we went to do the active learning training at the beginning of the year, one of the problems the teachers brought to my attention was the fact that children are coming into school without enough sleep. They go to bed with televisions on in their rooms till 2:30 in the morning. They're not getting, we have to allow our brains time to replenish. And that's true for older people. It's very true for young brains that are developing. And that's something as parents we need to be particularly mindful of, is how do we encourage in a culture that is instant information and so much technology that we still need time for our brains to unplug so they can be replenished and then come back ready to learn. So nutrition, exercise, water, and sleep is the theme of one of the parent cafes that Physika worked with Sarah on to make happen. And it's certainly a message that needs to be reinforced in the home environment because a child at that age, an elementary school age, isn't necessarily responsible for making decisions of their home environment. What type of food are mom and dad, preparing or bringing home from the grocery store. So the idea is to educate the students and their parents to make healthier choices.
How have the parents received all of this?
Really well. And I was just thinking as Martha was speaking that we had a PTO meeting and we had someone from food services come and talk about the meals that we serve at school, and our breakfasts are not the healthiest breakfasts, and parents are extremely upset about this. They want to have healthier breakfasts in our schools, so they're strategizing on what can we do to make sure our kids are getting healthy breakfast. So they are on board, they're really getting the information, and they want to know, they want the information so they can make the best choices for their kids.
What I'm also hearing you saying, we're talking about active learning, but the students, the teachers, the parents are all active participants.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And that's really the whole school, whole community, whole child model that I believe Fulton is an excellent example of this new integrated policy paradigm that was just introduced by the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention and the ASCD. So I think this will continue to bring some very appropriate national attention to the great work that Sarah and Dr. Martin are doing to create that whole school, whole community, whole child approach that has at the very center the learner. What can we do holistically, emotionally, socially, physically, nutritionally, to make sure that that learner is given all the advantages they need to become a successful citizen? Yeah.
There's no downside to this. It's such a win-win-win situation for the individual and the community as a whole. What is Fitbits? What's that?
Fitbits is a supplemental curriculum tool created by one of our partners, the Michigan Fitness Foundation, and they run the second largest food stamp education program in the country. So they developed Fitbits as a tool that classroom teachers can use and health educators can use to quickly introduce the proper concepts of nutrition and exercise and physical activity by having kids get up and be active when they're in the classroom. And through the General Mills grant, Fulton was able to purchase Fitbits for all of the classroom teachers, including the music and art and PE teachers. So that's just one of the tools that the teachers are using now during that halftime break to introduce and reinforce the importance of physical activity and healthy eating.
What haven't we discussed that you think's really important that we need to know about this?
That it works. It works, and through true collaboration, you can make change happen.
Yeah.
You know, really utilizing all of the partnerships, all the resources in your community, and as you said, just working together, you can really affect great change.
Yeah. When you put the learner at the center of the model, everyone's on the same page, and turf doesn't become as important. No one's really looking to get credit. It's how do we leverage all of these resources, and that's what Sarah and Dr. Martin have done so effectively.
Now you have a website. We're going to put that up on the screen. What are we going to find on there?
At physicagroup.com, you'll learn how to become an active learning specialist. You'll see examples of other schools around the country that have implemented a holistic approach to active learning, and you can download tips for parents, homework help, how do you know if your school is embracing active learning, how do you become a more informed advocate to bring active learning to your school.
Yeah, that's very key, so we can go on there and get a little bit more. Any final thought?
I would just say that if anybody's interested in partnering with us, you know, please reach out to us and we will find a way to connect you to our school.
That's excellent. And if somebody's in a different school district and you want to bring this to your community, you know where to go to find out. We're going to take a brief pause. When we come back, we're going to have some final thoughts. Stay with us. Some final thoughts about active learning, and we've brought back Jill Martin, and you're the principal. Let us know what you're thinking about this.
So here's the bottom line that we know when it comes from a principal's perspective. Student success is largely dependent on the amount of time that kids are actively engaged with the content in front of them. And so while we know there's not one solution to the very, very diverse student populations that we have found the active learning piece and the work with Physika to be that common denominator, that foundation that every single child can find a way to hook in and be a part of the academics and the social emotional community that we're creating at the school. So we've really found this to be the foundation, and we're excited to build on that next school year and add some different components to it.
That's great, and not only that, reaching out to the community, connecting.
Yes, and I was just going to say that again, this is a topic that everyone can get behind. Community organizations, community members just can find a way to hook into our community and get behind the work that we're doing, which is excellent.
Yeah, and you can start in the middle of the year too. It doesn't matter. Right. Anytime you can jump in and get connected and get engaged. Yeah. And what I also think was important, we talked a little bit earlier, this is good for the individuals, the parents, the whole community, and what it's done for behavior is wonderful because everybody's having fun.
Right.
Yeah, that's great. It's wonderful to have you here, and I think it's great what you're doing at Robert Fulton Elementary School. Continued success with this next school year. Thank you so much for being here. Yeah, and if you want to get involved, we've got the website for you too. I'm Diane Dayton with Behind the Lines, and thank you so much for joining us today. And remember, keep looking behind the lines. You might be surprised what you find.